I was born at a hospital in Canterbury. We were brought up on a farm in the Dandenongs. We loved it on the farm because in those days there were no restrictions. We'd get up in the morning and Mum and Dad would say, see you for lunch or see you for dinner tonight, and we just went out and explored. But we worked. We all had jobs to do in those days, mowing lawns and pruning and getting bulbs out of the ground because we were commercial flower growers. And I had rheumatic fever. I was 9 and it was pretty severe because in those days they didn't have antibiotics and most people that had rheumatic fever would be dead by the time they were 35 or 40. It comes with extreme pain. For months and months I was wrapped in hot cotton wool every 4 hours, 24 hours a day for nearly 6 months just for the pain. And I spent 3 months in the Children's Hospital and 8 months in an aftercare hospital. You were strapped into a bed, you weren't allowed to move because every time you moved you put pressure on your heart. I have 3 other brothers and 2 sisters, so there's 6 in the family. Yes, we're very, very close. I'm sort of the catalyst to keep the family together, so every time we have a family function that's a big occasion, everybody turns up. Loved school. That was a struggle early on in Form 1 and 2 because I'd missed so much school. In those days, we never had a swimming lesson or a coaching or anything like that. It was just all what you did yourself. As I went through, I had a teacher who probably had the biggest effect on my life. His name was Bruce Tozer. He knew innately I had some sport talent, but it had never been developed. My whole body after rheumatic fever had totally atrophied. I didn't have one muscle that was working. He would dig a furrow in the ground, 20 or 30 metres long, just so that it would force my legs to go straight, my feet would go straight. And when I ran a lot of distance running, 800s, 400s and everything, he was my coach. And we've been lifelong friends. He's now turned 90 and we still keep in touch every couple of weeks. A mate and I used to go water skiing up to the Gippsland Lakes. Met them in the street and Faye said, how about coming down to have a game of mini golf? And I went down and had a game of mini golf and I was standing there and she actually said, you've got a hole in your pants, but it was a spider. So that was a little bit of, she got quite embarrassed. So from then on we got together and that was it. 2, Brad, the oldest, and then Jane. 5 grandsons.
What are you doing?
I'm going to play with you boys as much as I can. They're the light of your life. They're all academically going well. They love their sport and they've all got great senses of humour. Cheers, boys. When all family get together, we have a fun time. I never remember ever the children who became ducks of a school or anything, but I can always remember vividly the children that perhaps I've changed an attitude, that you gave them a love of learning or they wanted to do something better or something. They're the children I really feel strongly about, that perhaps I've made an attitude change to their young lives. So, and that was always been one of the joys of teaching, that you could make a difference. You could make a change, but often it took years and years to get there. I remember a couple of years ago, I was up on the Gold Coast and a young girl came, she's married with 3 kids, and she came running down the beach and she was, Mr. Rowse. And I'd forgotten completely who she was. And she just said, I just want to, she gave me a big hug and said, I'll never forget. And I want to thank you for what you did for my life because I was off the rails and you put me straight and, And it's those intangibles, things that happen that really have a big effect on your life, that perhaps you did change an attitude. Not many survived rheumatic fever. I just don't know what it was, but I was just determined to get on top of it. everybody talks about resilience these days, but I really don't believe you know what resilience is about till you've been through adversity. You know, when I broke my neck a few years ago, it was the same attitude. It's, you know, you can get on top of it just by doing the hard work. I just fell off a footstool in the lounge room, getting up to get a vacuum cleaner out of the bag to do the vacuuming. The mole don't do the vacuuming. Broke my neck and my whole left side became paralysed, and I was in rehab for a long, long time. But fortunately I had good doctors, and and I knew that I had to put a lot of work into it, so you just keep working. Yeah, I think a lot of recovery with things is attitude. I think I've had luck. I think I've had good people. Like this Professor Stokes, the man who came back from America on this new program that he'd been studying, that the best way to get on top of it is to exercise, but it has to be controlled. I'd go down to Melbourne every fortnight, and he would measure everything about your heart and everything, just looking were there any hiccups and that sort of thing. And he became a lifelong friend, and the fascinating thing about him, I had to keep in touch with him over the next 5 to 10 years because he just wanted to know how successful his program had been. Yeah, I have some regrets. I regret that sometimes with my dad, I didn't go along with his philosophy about religion. I regret that probably when he passed away, I hadn't sort of apologised that I'd, I hadn't kept in touch with him as I grew up as much as I should. It changed once we were married and settled and everything, but when I was at uni and that, we were just so busy studying and doing all the things kids do when you go to the city, and I didn't keep in touch as much as I should. When I was in the aftercare hospital, for some reason they used to give us rice for every meal. We'd have rice for breakfast, rice for lunch and rice for dinner. And I got so sick of it, I would stand up and stuff it down the ventilators above the bed, but that kept me in hospital for another week or two. And I'm still not a rice fan. When I was playing football, I was a very good mark and always the fittest in the side, but I was a terrible kick. And the local sports commentator said I kicked like a girl. And I got to school on the Monday morning and all the kids had pink shoelaces in their shoes and pink ribbons in their hair just to remind me that I kicked like a girl. So that all went around the district. Another instance, I remember when I was teaching in Newg, one of the kids stole a lot of the bank money. In those days, they used to have bank. Teachers would collect their bank money and they'd have bank books. And one of the grade 6 kids stole the bank money. So I spoke to him and dressed him down and told him not to do that again. And that night I was living in the school residence on my own. I think I was paying 50 cents a week rent. And one of the dads, he was 6'5" and he weighed about 23 stone. He knocked on the door and he said, "Are you the teacher?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "What's the matter with you?" And I says, "What do you mean?" He said, "My child stole bank money today and you didn't give him the strap." "Tomorrow I want you to give him the strap just to teach him a lesson." So it just, it was just a funny situation. I'd like to think that I've inspired people. I hope that during my teaching career and with people and family that I've perhaps inspired people. I've always hope I come across as being enthusiastic about whatever I do. I think it's pretty vital in modern society to have an enthusiasm for everything that you do. I think somebody that could laugh a lot, even though you go through bad times, like when I had rheumatic fever and things like that, you can talk about it and joke about it, but I was always positive. A loyal friend, that I've, been loyal to. Sometimes I think I haven't got the close friendships that Faye's got with a lot of people, but I like to value the friendships that I've had. It's a hard question. What are we remembered for? Pricing it all down, I just hope I've had some influence on people and made them better people. So can't say much more than that.